Hi everyone, Some Gamer Dude here. Today I want to talk about the harsh realities of making a game. I've hit some snags on the artwork. I'm not sold on the art style I'd envisioned and need to think on it some more before I progress. I have some ideas. I know the colours need to be more subdued, turn down the contrast a lot, but it's mostly that, the name, rule sheet, card back and logo to finalise. The card frame was thought to have been finished, but I'm tweaking it some more. Product graphic design will have to wait till I have the templates, art and logos. I'm pretty happy with how things stand now in terms of what I plan to put out there for first impressions. I think it only needs a couple of tweaks to balancing to be in the right place. Other than that, I'm just testing out the back half of Block 1 and putting together Block 2. I have a pretty good idea of where the first 6 years go. This whole process has been very stressful and time-consuming. It's also expensive starting with the art. Even if you try to keep art costs down with a more simplified art style and small sets, my sets need 72 pieces of art and my set 0, what the Kickstarter is for, needing 42. It's still a fairly large chunk of change. For my product, if I can get it at its lowest, which I'm not sure I'll be able to, but for argument's sake, it's in the vicinity of 2,000 Australian dollars, or 1,500 USD. That is not an insignificant amount of money, not for the vast majority of people. That's a fortnight's wages for many. Now remember, most games you play, the art on those cards can go for a lot more than that. My favourite Force of Will artist, Mad, his art costs 1,000 USD a piece, and it takes 6 months to produce. I'd hate to think what some of the more prolific Magic the Gathering artists cost. On top of that, you have production costs. While significantly more than 2,000 Australian, it feels more reasonable. It's a lot, though it scales with how much you print, but it feels more worth it because the cost to product ratio is much better, even at its lowest MOQ. One piece of art is for one card. Production is for the entire line. Then you have import duties on top of that. Here's some other harsh realities. Kickstarter takes a cut of your final funding, 5%. Then their payment processor takes another 5%. That total isn't what you're getting. 5,000 magically becomes about 4,500, a bit over. You need to hit above that mark to get what you actually need. You need a fee buffer. There is also the projected audience to consider. Smaller Kickstarter TCGs seem to hit around the 230 individual investor mark. A fair few of those are just $1 to get access to the updates. The only reason they get anywhere is because of people buying larger SKUs, expensive groups of products, or knickknacks. I can tell you the only reason Alternate Souls got over the line was because of their big metal cards. This was for all the decks, a booster box, the metal card, a playmat, alternate art standees, and your name on that attribute deck. While they didn't all sell out, selling a bulk of them, 14, at over 131,000 yen each, made it happen. They had a goal of 5 million yen, and they made nearly 2 million yen from those alone. There also seems to be an ideal cost. Looking at MetaZoo, their biggest seller was the 95 USD full package, theme deck case, a box, promos, and a spellbook box. This accounted for about 7,300 of their 10,000 USD goal. The other biggest sellers they had were just moderately priced products. The 20 USD spellbook box, their fat pack, and the 35 USD tribal theme deck case, a set of 5 theme decks. They made a bit over 18,000 of their 10,000 goal. Selling 5 of those 600 USD SKUs probably helped a lot too. You can do all the work in the world, make the game the best it can be, but the realization that these are the costs involved, and going through these channels, that this is probably the best case scenario, it's rather confronting. Part of me is seriously wondering if the Kickstarter is even worth it versus a business loan. The Kickstarter is risky. I'll have to sell through the minimal MOQ and knickknacks to continue. Even with some reused assets, it's necessary to produce set 1. With how many backers that actually buy something these games get, I'll have to push really hard in marketing, as much as is possible with my ability to do so, to sell through it. The only thing the Kickstarter really does, in all honesty, is a bit of marketing. It can generate a little bit of buzz, but the way I see it, I'll have to send out product anyway. More hits to the ability to produce set 1. Not only the loss of income, but the cost of shipping. The only real difference is, do I want interest or do I want to pay fees? Minimal order quantity is 500. Yeah, that low. But consider I'm only really projected to sell about 200 of that, unless I can get local stores to take it, which also takes away about 66% of my own profits, also taking away my ability to produce set 1. Remember, manufacturers sell product to store at double what it costs them to produce. Then the store sells it at double that to get a profit. Said profit that is mostly eaten up by overhead, unless it's a store with a large turnover of product. I'd have to produce a larger quantity for that to be viable, and we delve into the position of more capital needed. I'd need to sell more to make up the difference. Then we look back to how many can I realistically sell. As I said, I know I'm going to have to send YouTubers product. It's not a matter of, here it is, buy it or get out. You need to put the effort into it and use YouTubers as the commercials they kind of are in this context to generate sales. All things considered, sending out to selected YouTubers is probably cheaper than commercials anyway. I'll also have to shift my content over here. Maybe not this channel specifically, but it'd be in my best interests to make videos talking about the characters, cards, decks, events, showcasing YouTubers who show a great deal of interest in the game, etc. I don't think just commercials for sets really cuts it. It's not cheap to make those commercials, and they do have a lot of work, but I don't think it shows the effort needed on a smaller scale like I will be. I don't think it shows the personal touch I know a lot of players like from smaller games. That sense of mattering to the publisher. This is all you need to consider when making a game. It's not a matter of putting text on a card, slapping a picture on it and selling it on. There is a lot of work, money and risk involved. It's not something to venture into lightly. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. It's hard yakka. It's incredibly stressful, and I wouldn't recommend most to undertake it. Most will buckle under the pressure. Frankly, I could imagine the negative feedback alone would cause a lot of people to break down and quit with how people can be. It's very disheartening to learn something you've put your heart and soul into needs a lot more work or is kind of crap. You need to learn to take it like a man, roll with the punches, understand the criticism, and use it to improve. You can only get better. Wallowing in mediocrity will lead to failure once the novelty wears off. Playtesting alone is incredibly time-consuming, and you can only do so much, especially without an office setting where you have a solid 8 hours of work and the ability to fix things on the fly. Today's video is just a lot of things that have been weighing on my mind recently, trying to pull this all together. A lot of my content from the last few years has been rooted in things I've been thinking about while putting God knows how many man hours into this. I do think it's helped produce some of my better content though, and I'm proud of that content. Till next time, this has been Some Gamer Dude,